Hello and welcome to this special bonus episode of the Star Wars Generations podcast. Friends, the last episode of Skeleton Crew has just been broadcast. It ended like 5 minutes ago. And we've been talking about how this is a show for all generations. One of our youngest fans, Aurelia, age 10, is that correct?
Yep.
Is joining us tonight, along with myself and Aaron, to talk about this episode and to talk about the show. So we're really excited. We'll have a regular episode for you in a day or two, but we want to do this quick reaction along with Aurelia. And so, Aurelia, let me just start by asking you, what have you thought of the show so far, or overall, now that we've seen all of it?
I feel like overall it's like a really good storyline.
Uh-huh.
Like it's like a other Star Wars show, but it's different in like good ways.
Yep.
Totally.
I say, yeah, it was definitely a very different tone.
Yeah.
I liked that it was like completely separate from the rest of Star Wars and it was about kids. Because, I mean, I grew up watching the Clone Wars. And so the episodes that were about kids were my favorite when I was that age.
Yeah, because it's always about like adults. And like when in like not Rebels. One of the shows with one of the kids with like the blonde short hair, Omega.
Bad Batch.
Yeah, Bad Batch. Like that was like my favorite character.
Nice.
She's the best. She's a
Yes.
baddie. Yeah,
She's pretty
she's
awesome.
a baddie.
And did you have a favorite character in this?
Mine's Wim.
Really? Okay.
Me
Cool.
too.
Yeah.
I feel yeah.
Am I the only one on
Wim girl.
Elephant Boy's side? I did, KB and Elephant Boy were my favorites.
I know I like Wim and like Elephant Boy. Neil.
Neil. He's always gonna be Elephant Boy to me. He's just so
You guys
adorable.
are so disrespectful.
Nah,
Aurelia, why is Wim your favorite? Any specific reasons?
I feel like he's like the leader, but not the leader.
Mhm.
He's like I feel like when I first started the show, I was like, oh, Wim's gonna be leader. He's gonna be leading the whole thing because he was the one who like found it.
Mhm.
But then it turned out to be another like the other girl, not
Fern.
Katie. Yeah, Fern. It ended up being Fern, and I was like, well, that's a turn of events.
Yeah.
But I still like Wim.
I think that was one of my favorite moments, honestly, from Wim is, I mean, so often with these shows, even with adults, we see them like fighting for who's in control, who's in command.
Yeah, they were all just like, just give it to Fern.
Yeah. Like,
Just
and
give
it's
it to
really
Fern.
hard. It's really hard for anybody, I think, to say, you know what, I should step back and let someone else step forward. And so when Wim did that with Fern and said, no, you should be the leader, I really had a lot of respect for him.
Yeah.
I think that we can safely say that Wim is the emotional leader of the group.
Yes.
sounds
He has the
sounds
most
right.
emotions, you know?
Yeah.
And his emotions
Yeah.
lead everything.
Yeah.
They really did.
It's like, I don't like this. We're not going to do it because this one person doesn't want to do it.
Mhm.
Or like, here, let me
Or
press
like-
this button.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you don't want me to press this button? Got it. Boop.
Yeah, impulse control is not very strong with that boy.
Yes.
It's okay.
Well, and so going into this episode, there were a lot of people had a lot of questions. What did you think was going to happen with Jod? Did you think he was going to turn out just to be a villain? Did you think he had a plan to save everybody?
I feel like, are we talking like from the last episode, like when it was, oh, I'm going to do this,
Mhm.
or like from the beginning?
Yeah, I guess from the beginning and then by the end.
I feel like from the beginning, I was like, I feel like he's a little suspicious. He doesn't seem normal, but I was pretty okay with him. I was like, typical Star Wars character.
Yeah.
Mhm.
At the end, he was definitely not gonna do what he was saying he was going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I
He
was
started
happily
as, like, a-
surprised. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I was going to say, he started as like a funkle and very quickly became like just the worst relative.
Yeah, like when he
The crash out
yes.
relative.
Yes. But also when he saved Neil from the droid.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And I was
true.
like,
He did do
wow, great job. You did something. And then I was
Yeah.
like, and now you are my hostages. I was like, well, he's not a very fun uncle now.
No, he's not.
No.
Yeah, he switched off pretty hard there. And I have to say, because it's a very Star Wars story, to find that someone, has doing bad things and then does the right thing at the end, or that they had a plan and all along they were trying to do the right thing. I was pretty happy that they let Jod be the bad guy, that he didn't
Yeah.
have some like, no, I fell for these kids and now I'm going to save them. Like, I think clearly he didn't want to hurt people at the end, but he was just a jaded, like someone who'd been exposed to the Jedi and it hadn't gone well and he'd been on his own and he just wanted what was out for himself. And I like that they just showed him as that.
Yeah. Because usually in shows, it's like, it starts out bad, but then it gets a happy ending. This was like, okay, so it starts out good, but then this guy just turns.
Mhm.
And there's no going back. It's like when you burn a pancake. You can't unburn a pancake.
That actually
That's so true. I've never really thought about that.
can't unburn a pancake.
You crash a car, you can't uncrash your car.
That is true as well. Yeah.
Also
You
true.
can't.
Also true. Yeah. What about you, Aaron? What did you think? Were you kind of surprised at all that they just let Jod be the bad guy? Was this what you were expecting?
No. Yes. Wait. I'm really confused as to how that question just went. No,
Aaron,
I'm
what
not
do you
surprised
think
that he's the
about
bad
Jod's
guy.
storyline? Yeah, there you go.
Yes, I'm upset. I don't know. No, I'm not upset. I feel like 2 or 3 episodes ago, I just kind of started to lose hope. I was like,
Mhm.
wait, this guy sucks, though. It was like the treasure episode. I was like, maybe he's okay. And then immediately after that, I was like, the moment he came out of the treasure hole or the manhole covered in treasure, I was like, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
This
One
guy
of
is
the
not cool.
The reason that I started to hate him was when he was like, you know what? I'm gonna challenge Fern
Yeah.
to be the captain. I'm like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you do not have to do that. Why are you doing
No.
that?
Just chill. You work for the kids.
I
Yeah.
know. And then Wham was like, I'm gonna wield a lightsaber. Oh no, I'm gonna stab myself.
Yeah, that
but
was a close one.
he managed to do it pretty well this time. Like I liked when him and Fern teamed up to hold the lightsaber
I
back
know.
from him.
Mhm.
And then he switched. He was like, you know what? They're gonna win anyway. Let's turn to this guy.
Yeah. Jod said, honestly, the lightsaber is not important. Let's worry about the barrier.
Yes.
Mhm.
And how
For
did
sure.
you feel about Fern's mom finally coming through?
I loved it. It was like one of the big turning points. Because it was like she was like, okay, I'm gonna help you. I'll get your ship through the barrier to come and attack the whole place, and I know that's gonna happen. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this to help you, and then it was like, I'm gonna open the barrier to let the X-Wings in.
Mhm.
Let's go.
Yeah,
It was
that
really
pretty
cool to see her. Sorry, Matthew, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's cool to see her finally listen to Fern and really like pay attention to what's going on and not just, be so influenced by the system and the supervisor, right? That's what they called him?
Supervisor, yeah.
Yeah,
The supervisor, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice change, especially because on the other hand, you had Wim's dad, who it just seemed was that kid who like had always wanted adventures but was told he couldn't have them, and so he told his son he couldn't have them. And then like
Yeah.
from the minute his bike jumped over that chasm, he was just so into it, and you could tell
Yeah.
he was having so much fun. And
I know. He was
Just
like,
make adventure.
yeah. He was like, I finally get to do it. I finally get to do something that's
Mhm.
other than work in the 7 at the 7 level to turn on the electricity.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Although him being
I-
able to turn on the electricity did matter quite a lot. That was fun to see.
Yeah,
It did.
but still, I feel like he didn't get to do any didn't get to do any like adventure or anything. And then it was
Mhm.
like, I just jumped across a cliff. I can do anything. I'm invincible.
Yep.
speaking of invincible, it's too invincible.
Thank you. That was one of my favorite quotes. And I feel like I did
know.
not get the same energy from the other two last time I talked about this.
I
I could be
know.
misremembering. I could be misremembering. I can't speak.
Yeah.
Somebody else talk.
I mean, I'll admit I have no memory whatsoever of that line, so you probably did not get much energy
Wim.
from me about it.
Wim.
Thank you.
Wim. It was Wim.
There you go.
He was shooting at
When
the
they were
trash destroyer.
Oh,
It's
that's
too
right.
invincible.
That's right. That's
I
right.
loved that.
Yeah.
Although I was
Get
gonna
I
say-
wrote it down. I wrote it down to tell you. I was like, this is such a big turning point. I need to write this down.
This is an
Speaking
important
of
moment
things-
for Wim.
Thinking of things though
Yes.
being invincible, it did. I wasn't surprised. I expected this was going to happen, but seeing that even though you cut Smee's head off, he could still be there and still be their friend and still help them
Yeah.
pilot the ship. That made me so happy.
It made me so happy, but also it kind of confused me because it was like, if you so he got his head cut off and then it was like, oh, I'm just gonna lay on the floor. But I get it because like kind of like the rat or whatever it's in his head like went out,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
but still, like you were just lying on the floor for like 10 minutes.
Well, here's how I saw it. Do you remember how in Attack of the Clones, you guys should be so happy with me that I'm remembering something specific from a
Yes.
prequel movie. But
I'm
when
excited.
C-3PO's head is attached to the B1 body, but is
Yeah.
still able to be fully functioning.
Yeah, I feel like the wires like lined up.
Yeah, it seemed like she like KB was kind of like holding it connected to some other wires connected to the body. And so that's what allowed it to work.
Yeah.
And I'd been thinking of that from the minute they cut his head off. I was like, wait a minute. We've seen C-3PO lose his head and he still could function. So
I know when he cut his head off, I was like, there's no way that's gonna stop 33.
mhm.
There's no way.
Yeah.
If that
No
stops 33, I'm gonna be so sad. I'm going
And I
to be
think-
so sad.
I think kind of what KB's mom said to her about like, KB, you can fix anything. I think that's just what happened. You know, she like hopped on the
Yeah.
ship and she's like,
Yeah.
I need a co-pilot. Let me just quick whip this together. Cause honestly, like the way she knew how to care for her own electron so intricately, like it's very clear in the way,
Yes.
you know, she cares for her hover bike.
Mhm.
It's very clear that that's her thing. So it was really cool to like
Yes.
have her just do that so quick that it's not even really mentioned, but she fixed SM-33.
Exactly.
I know. But also speaking of KB and fixing stuff, do you remember when she made that thing in the sand, like that mold in the sand, and Wim
Yeah.
was helping her and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they both played a big part in that. I know that like KB made the mold and stuff, but Wim melted the wires.
Mm-hmm.
I
He
feel
really
like
stepped
like,
up and came through.
He was like, "Oh, you can't move. What do I do?"
Yep. Now, let me ask you, because you're right about the same age, maybe a year or two. How would you feel if in a couple of years you had to take a test that would decide your entire future?
Honestly, I would hop on a spaceship and leave, and I would watch this show and
Mhm.
see how to control it.
There you go. Yeah,
I have a giant exam. Let's just go. And in the middle, they were talking about the exam, and I forgot that he literally did this to get out of an exam.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He
And-
was like, I don't want to do this exam. Let me just hop on this Jedi temple, quote unquote.
And I love that the literal last line of the show was about how now he doesn't have to take the test.
Yeah, it's like you don't have. I guess you don't have to take the test now because the school is broken.
To any
And
parents out there, we are not advocating that your kids run away and join the Navy in order to avoid getting away from a test. But, it's just nice that in this particular show it worked out.
Yeah.
Yes.
In this
don't run
particular
away from
show,
tests.
Yep.
if
Well-
you live on Aden, then maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
But don't do that.
Well,
When
really,
you find a Jedi temple.
I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's already pretty late, but let me just ask you, what are one or two more of your favorite moments from the show?
I feel like one of them was when KB said, "Well, that's too bad. I had the coordinates and everything."
Yep.
It's like everybody was like, "How are we gonna get home?" And she's like, well, I got the coordinates, but we don't have any ship, so I don't think we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
You never told us you had the coordinates.
She didn't speak much, but when she had something to say, she definitely spoke up and surprised people a little bit.
Yes.
Aaron, what about you? Did you have a favorite moment from the show?
From the show, that's a really big question. Can I just go from this episode?
Sure,
Yeah.
go for it.
From this
Okay,
episode.
thank you. That makes things a lot better for me. One moment that really stood out to me and just made me so happy and giggle. The way that Wendell parents. That's Wim's dad. The way that he parents. The way that he put something in the microwave, put it on the table and said, and quote, nothing like a home-cooked meal.
Yes, that was so
He's
funny.
such a single father. Like, you put it in the microwave.
That's like me microwaving leftovers from a restaurant we went to. Nothing like some good home cooked meal that took me hours.
Here in the Midwest, where Aaron and I both live, we've got these huge kind of like hardware superstores called Menards, and we always joke that there's the single father aisle, which is just like lots of like microwave food and sodas and chips and stuff like that. And that was definitely what I was thinking of when I saw Wendell.
Oh my gosh. Nothing like a home cooked meal from the single father aisle.
Exactly. Well, he was doing his best. Yeah, for me, I think my favorite moment was both him jumping with the bike and being so excited, but then also later Jod saying, "You brought your dad?" Like, it just was such a like, kid, this was your fun adventure. What are you doing? So
yeah.
Also, when Wim's dad was chasing after him on the bike, did you see the part where he was just standing there and he looked at the guy and he was like, "I'm gonna steal your bike."
That was a lot of fun.
He didn't even say that.
He's like,
he was just running. He was just like, "Your bike is mine." And then it just cut to him. It just cut to him driving with Wim.
That was awesome. All right, well, it's pretty late and we want to wrap up, but Aurelia, thank you so much for being a part of this episode. I'm really glad. We definitely want to have you back. Aaron, thank you as well. To all of our listeners, thank you all so much. We'll have more episodes for you. Of course, you can become a member. $5 a month, $55 a year. You get bonus content. All the information on how to send us feedback, thoughts, and all that is all on our website and our social medias. Thank you so much. We have spoken.
Yeah.
Son, you are talking to a level 7 systems coordinator. Get the bike.
Yes.
There you go.
Get the bike.